Good morning, episode 310 Morning Minutes, the great debate. We're going to give you a great snapshot of the past 10 years, property growth, capital growth, all across Sydney, east versus west. Good morning, Mr. Novak.
Hey, Ledge. How are you?
I'm good. I'm even better looking at all this data. I think a lot of the time we're always looking at the last week, the last month, the last 6 months, but we never sort of take a step back, do the 30,000 helicopter view of property, of the wonderful thing called capital growth, which is probably the main reason people buy property, is capital growth.
Yeah, big time. I think we're in our element. We like our numbers, don't we? We're big nerds.
Yeah.
Data nerds. And you know what? I think, bearing in mind, this is the biggest asset class in the entire country. So capital growth, how much your property goes up that you own, seems to mean so much more to Australians. It's a massive part of Australians' wealth. So the suburb that you buy in or are going to buy in, or the suburb that you live in, is very, very important, because that's the money you take into the bank when you retire. So, and we're always arm wrestling over it, aren't we?
Yeah, and you're exactly right. Where you always normally hear when prices are lower, you sort of think, oh, that's good, it's cheaper. But when there's always that fear, people always say the bubble's going to burst with property prices, because it relates to capital growth. And as you said, it's the biggest asset class. It's a lot of people's retirement. Like when people, they almost throw it around so freely. The bubble's going to burst, the capital growth is going to go down. But it means so much to so many people, and it's so much money. It's almost crazy how loosely it gets thrown around, and how coyly, or I don't know, just how, I don't know.
That's another new word, coyly. There you go. Every day we've got a new word from you. That's awesome.
It's like,
you know, it is. And not only that, it's double, Michael, because it's tax-free money. So when you make money out of real estate, if you've lived in it and it's been your principal home, you're generally not going to have to pay tax on it. So this is big buck stuff. If you make 80,000 at work, you're going to give 30 or 40% to the government. If you make 80,000 in property and you live in it, you're keeping the whole thing. So capital growth is a big topic. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the big suburbs and the little suburbs that are the performance-wise in Sydney. So we are going to talk New South Wales, Sydney, more Sydney and Greater Sydney. You got some data for us?
Yeah, so before, we're happy to take suburb recommendations from anyone watching. Anmar, good to have you on. I know we've done this with you before. It's really good for all the new viewers we've got to just take that holistic view, and I'll skim through some that I've already got, and I think you'll see a bit of a correlation. So here we go. These are houses past 10 years.
So just before we start, guys, feel free to nominate your suburb you want to know about. If you want to know about how the suburbs performed in the last 10 years, just write it in the comments. Now, what this actually information is, so you know it's quality information, the Land Titles Office reports every sale gets reported to the Land Titles Office. So the Land Titles Office, once a property sells, the Land Titles Office gets informed, stamp duty gets paid. But there's a company called RP Data that actually makes that available for real estate agents, which is what we've got here. So this is RP Data stuff generated from the Land Titles Office. It's good data.
Yeah, it's great data. So we're looking at Cromer, 83%. Then we go to...
So 10 years, houses.
83%. Bosley Park.
So if you bought it for $1 million, it would be worth $830,000 more in 10 years' time. That's what 83% is. Bosley Park?
Bosley Park is 54%. They're down in sales 40%, so something's happening there. But it's good to have a look at. Then we got Mona Vale, up 72%.
72.
I've got a few out of area. Casula, up 72%. So very different
units, Casula houses.
All these are houses. All these are 10-year growth. So a lot of people always sort of say, well, if you're not Northern Beach, like you've got to buy Northern Beaches, otherwise there's no growth. But this sort of really contradicts that. You've got 60% in Hurstville. Then we've got...
Hurstville would probably be more known, I think, as a unit suburb. I'm not sure about that. The next one.
Guildford, 80%.
That's a suburb, 80% growth.
Yeah, Epping, 172 sales a year, 72% growth.
Yep.
Can't pronounce that one. 64% growth.
Canania.
Where was it?
Have a go. I'd love to hear you try.
Jan Alley.
How much has that gone up?
60%. Then you've got, here's another one. Why did I pick so shit ones? Not growth, just names for me to pronounce. Anyway, so that's Panania, 67%. What have we got here?
What else
Cogra, 62%.
Yep.
78% is Beecroft. Okay, you guys get the gist. All across New South Wales, all across all different sort of areas, like very different demographics. Like a lot of people looking to buy Monavale are not looking at Epping or Hurstville, and vice versa. So I know a lot of people always arm wrestle where to buy. They always try and pick the spot. But if you just basically dropped a pin somewhere in like New South Wales mapped and you just dropped a pin, that's where I'm going to buy, you're probably on average going to be making 65, 70% over 10 years, some up to 90%, some a little bit lower. But the main common thing is all growth. And what's that importance, Mark? Just to sort of see that on a 30,000 helicopter view, why is that important? What does that show, in your opinion?
Look, I think we've taken 10 years, and if you span that over one's lifetime, that's an enormous amount of money. Like if you consider you're buying a property when you're in your 20s and you're upgrading maybe that property in your 30s, and it's going to be a family home. Your kids are going to go through the home. Your kids are going to go through university. It's going to be 30 years later of property ownership. That compounds, that doubles, then it doubles, then it doubles again potentially. So if you're looking at some of those suburbs that have done 70%, which is most of those there, that's a 10-year period. You take that on a cycle, it's almost double every 10 years when you look at that on a cycle basis. These cats that are buying something for $1 million today, it will turn to $2 million, and it will turn to $4 million, and then potentially $8 million in their lifetime. That's a lot of Benjis to be sitting on in a lifetime for someone, and they're not going to have to pay tax on it. So this is a serious thing, capital growth for people. Now, is it going to do it in the future? I'll leave that to you guys, but it's certainly done it in the past and certainly done it in the last 50 years.
100%. And also, it's one of those things where if you look at the last 10 years, your saving patterns, and let's say if most people are earning 60 grand a year, they may be able to save 10%, 6 grand a year. So over 10 years, they're saving 60,000. But if they were able to buy a property for say $500,000, that's almost worth $1 million now. They've saved 500,000. In the time frame, they may save 60,000 just with that capital growth. So especially for a lot of people out there where it's like, oh, it's cheaper to rent, which obviously with rates now, it's in most cases it's not. They're like, why buy? Like that's basically a capital growth is the reason and the main reason why people want to buy a property, because it's sort of foolproof savings with past. When we're looking in the past, it's been foolproof savings, and it's been like that for 50 years. As you said, where it's going to go in the next 10, 20 years, that's up to you to make the own decision. But let's look at what's happened in the past. A couple comments here. Luke, and invest, buy. 60% drop to come. As we've said on many shows, I think the property market's just going to continue to surge while we don't have other factors in our economy like immigration, education, tourism, the property market's going to get bumped up, and that will come through construction as well. So I don't see it dropping anytime soon. I reckon it's going to be a good 2 years of growth. What happens after that, we'll have to see where our economy is. Best tax minimization, property. Yep, that's in the relation. It's a very good point you said there, Mark. You've got to earn double, like your income has to be double compared to what it is with income on property. Your property goes up 50 grand, tax-free principal residence, that's 50 grand. You earn 50 grand, you're paying half tax. I think a lot of people, they overlook that.
Yeah, I think when you crystallize the property on selling it, that's when you actually pay the tax. But if you look at an income of a person, you must really, whether you spend that money or don't spend that money, or realize that money or don't realize that money, you must pay tax. So property is a great thing that you can any tax commitment. The tax commitments are lower, and if there is any tax commitment, you can defer that until the sale right at the end, whereas an income that I make this year, I have to pay this year. It's very different. So property is good that way. It's friendly that way.
Luke, 70%. Luke put in San Remo, New South Wales. Houses have gone up 70% in 10 years. It doesn't note any units, so I'm not sure if there's any units.
Yeah. If you've got any suburbs you can know the growth on, guys, last 10 years, throw them at us. We'll give it to you right now. And what else, buddy? What is so that's probably good. Now, Anmal's mentioned something about stamp duty. There's talk again. There's a bit of talking on stamp duty with the government about changing the model. The model Anmal's been talked about in her comments there is it looks like a bit of an American model. In America, you pay on an annual basis rather than a big upfront basis. So that'd be interesting to see what they do.
Okay, if you're buying, and what Luke says, careful with the regionals, 100%. Obviously, farms, different. A lot of the areas we grabbed were sort of like not CBD, but sort of what do you call them, metropolitan areas.
Or give me Yass. Give me a farm place. Yass. Give me Yass.
Okay.
Yass.
Yes.
Yass. Houses. Yass.
42%.
How much?
42.
Over 10 years?
Over 10 years.
Give me, what's a good country suburb? Give me Mudgee.
Mudgee, 10 years, 42%. So
Give me Cowra.
What suburb? How do you spell it? What is it?
Cow.
Yeah.
Cowra.
Cowra. 36%. 36.
There you go, guys. Looks like the rural suburbs are punching under the 50% capital growth.
Yep.
Any other ones you want to give us?
Okay, if buying in Northern Beaches right now, I'd be looking for more affordable homes, Cromer. Yeah, and I think a big thing, if it's an investment, and I know, Mark, you've been preaching this for years, especially with land tax costs. If you're going to be buying a house, because there's different models, houses versus apartments. But if you're looking to buy a house for an investment, really be looking for a property that you can have 2, even 3 incomes. I know you've done this personally, Mark, and it makes a big difference to the overall. Like, yes, like if you get in the house, you're going to get the capital growth. But in a lot of suburbs, the land tax is almost like, I know Narrowena, some properties, house, like a 3-bedroom house for 1.5 would rent for 40 grand a year, and your land tax is 10 or 12 grand. Like, it wipes it. It really wipes out you're trying to get the positive cash flow. But if you can get a house with a granny flat, get a house with maybe 2 kitchens, and you can use your imagination on that one, it can really make a big difference. Orange, Lucas said, let's have a look.
Hey, Orange, yeah, I love to know Orange. I want to know Parramatta units, because there's been so many units that have gone into Parramatta, Chatswood units as well.
Orange Grove.
Do you want to know how to spell orange?
Yeah. I got it just 60%, 10 years houses. Parramatta.
Orange.
So Parramatta units are up 67%, houses up 84%. Let's have a look at Bondi.
And where was that?
That was Parramatta. Bondi.
How much was it again?
It was, hang on.
Bondi.
88% for houses and 75% for units. Let's look at
Manly. Chatswood.
Chatswood houses, wow, 94%. And apartments, 49%. That's down a lot. 200 sales. Rental yield, wow. Rental yield, 3%, down 36%. Interesting. What's the last year? Has it all been in the last year?
Students.
Yeah,
Students
number.
left. Yeah, that's the last year. Yeah.
There's 10% alone.
That's the last year for the rentals. Yeah. And Manly.
Let's have a look at Manly. Wow, Luke just said Parramatta units over 600 available for rent. Well, they went from like 4,000 units to 16,000 or probably 20,000 now in 5 years. So there's always going to be that. Manly houses 94% and apartments 94%. So yeah, it's big. Alrighty.
What have apartments done in Manly? Sorry, I missed it.
94%.
Massive capital growth for Manly.
Yeah. So what's the point here? It's to
Don't shoot the messenger.
Don't shoot the messenger. There's data. Wherever there's good town centres, good transport, or beach lifestyle, virtually anywhere in Sydney with those sort of boxes ticked, because they're all very different. Some are better transport to the city but don't have the beach. Some have the beach and not as good transport. Like a lot of those things are key factors when people are looking to buy, and a lot of them will counter. Like someone will go, transport sucks, I won't buy there. There won't be good growth. Well, by the looks of it, it will have very similar growth, where another buyer will be like, there's no beach there, it's going to have crap growth, so I won't buy there. So a lot of it sort of contradicts what a lot of buyers say will be good for an area. The main point of it is we're in a beautiful area, New South Wales, Sydney, and it doesn't really matter where you buy. Obviously, there's good buyers within buyers, but give it enough time, you're going to have that growth. As Luke said, the message is buy.
And Sydney Metro, and regional did much better than New South Wales rural in some of them. In a lot of those averages. So yeah.
And Luke, I think Luke pointed out a really good point with Parramatta. There's always, when you look at, like we just took a very macro look, 10 years, quite a big period of time. But you will always find, if you take a micro look, there'll be times where it could be better or it's worse. Like Parramatta right now is probably a crap time for your investment yield. But let's see how it unfolds. And you got to look at why. And then look at it over long term, because someone may look, Parramatta is a bad place to buy right now because of that. But if you've got a lot of people buying, you've got a lot of activity, well, you would think long term that may actually be a good place to buy. So you've really got to take that long-term view with property. And if they're looking to make Parramatta a new Sydney CBD, there's always, what do you want to call it, growing pains. There's always going to be that balance. They flood the market, build, then maybe in 10 years there won't be much building, just like Sydney CBD, not much building compared to Parramatta when they're building it. So you're going to have time. So you can't just look at it within a 6-month or a year period. Look at the 10 years and look at the 10-year plan. Is a big one.
You can see with manufacturers, with sometimes when they make something really spectacular, it becomes a limited edition when they stop going into production. So I think you do have to, to crystallize what you've just said. You do have to look at how much is going to be coming onto the market in the future and how much has just come on as to what snapshot you take. And Parramatta is a good example of that. You may find Parramatta Parramatta just gets built out. It does not have more opportunity for more new buildings, a bit like DY, and then it just goes like that. So who knows?
Very true. But that's a wrap, a little bit longer than normal, but thank you, everyone. We'll be back tomorrow morning as well. We have an accountant, Harry, on tomorrow to talk about some tax stuff. So if you love numbers, watch tomorrow.
Harry went off last week. The numbers were big so that was awesome.
Yep. Perfect. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Ledge.
Cheers. Bye.
See you, everybody.